Welcome back to another episode of Queen Convos, Life Goals for the Queen in You. I am Melissa, your hostess with the mostest, and I appreciate you tuning in, whether you are tuning in on your favorite podcast platform or you are joining me here on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe for me so I can build up this community and we can build it up together, okay? Let's go ahead and jump into our Queen Quote of the week. The Queen Quote says, "The plan God has for me is greater than I can even imagine." Think about the absolute best thing that you can have in your life or what you could be doing at its maximum capacity. And then think of how greater God sees you and how he views you and how he has this plan for you that is greater than you can even think about. Now, I'm sitting here thinking about the greatest thing that I can imagine for my life, and just imagine God doing greater than that. If that doesn't keep you going, I don't know what else is going to keep you going. I know it's keeping me going. So just be encouraged, stay encouraged, and just take solace in the fact that you are not out here by yourself. God got you. And as long as you walking with him and asking for his guidance, he's going to lead you to where he wants you to be. So I'm going to repeat our Queen Quote again so you can write it and commit it to memory. It says, "The plan that God has for me is greater than I can even imagine." And that is your Queen Quote of the week. So for our royal tea time, I wanted to talk about something that I saw on social media, and it has to do with the company Mayo Organics. It is a Black-owned company, and they just provide a lot of great hair products and things of that nature, just to keep it basic, right? And I enjoy their products as well. So there was a news article that says they have been acquired by the P&G group, I believe. They've been acquired by P&G. And I guess social media was kind of on a I don't want to say like a smear campaign, but social media was just really up in arms because they feel like, oh, this is going to be the same situation that happened with Shea Moisture and other brands, where now that non-Black owners are involved, that the products are going to change, the quality is going to change, and you're just not going to get the same thing like you've had in the past. And there were like two sides of it, or I would say there were a couple sides to how people felt about, this new acquisition. And on one side, people were, upset, as I just mentioned, about the products is not going to be the same. The quality is not going to be the same. And it's like almost just stripping away everything that we have as Black people for ourselves, for our hair, for, our upkeep. It's almost diluting what we have going on, right? And on the other side, people are like, well, no, this is a step into this is a good step for this company, getting their bread up and whatnot. Then you also had people saying, oh, well, they're selling out, or they, really don't care about Black people anymore. They just care about the money and this, that, and the third. And of course, the owners of Mayo Organics, they put out a statement and they basically said, well, this is bigger than us. This is a step for us, for our community, to get into these spaces and into these companies. We are not selling out, we are selling up, and we have to stop making like this stigma, making this a thing when Black owned companies do something to elevate that now we are selling out. So my take on it is pretty much just that. I feel like there is a way to advance your brand. There is a way to elevate. There's a way to start creating these the generational wealth that everybody likes to throw around and likes to speak about. But when someone is actually trying to do that, then you turn around and chastise them for that very thing. I feel like if you are adamant and you are intentional about ensuring that your products do not change, or your products do not change significantly enough to disturb the quality that your loyal customers that got you to this point have come to know and love and appreciate, then I don't feel like there's anything wrong with elevating your brand and elevating you into areas and into rooms where you're trying to get other people in. Now, there's obviously a wrong way to do this, right? Where everything changes, or the material changes are made to the point where now your brand, your quality is not even recognizable. Well, that is a problem. And that is something that we're trying to avoid. And I understand, just looking at both sides, I understand that there's going to be a level of compromise that has to happen. But you as the business owner need to ensure that you are fighting for your quality. You are fighting for the things that led you to the acquisition, that led you to the parent company seeing great things in you to feel like you need to be underneath their brand. And I believe the owners of Maya Organics also said that it's still going to be Black led, because obviously they are Black and they are going to be leading it, and they're going to be like an independent subsidiary. Well, we'll see if that happens. We'll see if that continues to be what's going to happen. But I just want our community as a whole, when I'm speaking to the Black community, I'm speaking to us right now, that we need to stop, one, being so judgmental of those who are trying to elevate themselves, and almost it comes off being like a hater. You know what I mean? If you continue to do that, you have to know the facts. You have to know what's going on in the rooms and in those conversations and in those negotiations before you can really say whether someone is selling out or whether someone is doing something nefarious that's going to bastardize the quality of the products that we know and love. So time will tell. It's too soon to really say, one way or the other, if it's going to end up like some of the other brands that have fallen victim to, the acquisitions. But I say give entrepreneurs, give business owners, give Black entrepreneurs, Black business owners the benefit of the doubt first, before we start to, get our pitchforks and our flames and trying to chastise people. Okay. Being an entrepreneur is hard enough. Being a Black entrepreneur is hard enough to, in and of itself, that we don't need that type of chastisement. So that is my take on the whole situation. You let me know your thoughts about it in the comments. Obviously, we can have differing opinions. It's completely fine. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this whole acquisition and this topic in general. Now you know what time it is. Baby, Your Majesty awaits. It's time for the Majesty Moment. So for our Majesty Moment this week, if you read the title of the episode, we are talking about toxic traits and toxic people. Yes, this is a cliche. People always talk about someone being toxic this, toxic that, toxic this, or they're toxic. And it's almost become like a badge of honor for some people, but I want to just put it out there that it's not a badge of honor. It's not something cool. It's not something that you should aspire to be. This is something that you should aspire to stay away from, and something that you should never want to attribute to yourself in any sense of the word, period. Okay. So, I'm going to start off by let's just talking about the definition of toxic traits and toxic people, just so we are on the same page. Okay, so we know exactly what we're talking about, and there's no misunderstandings. So let's get into the definition of toxic trait. A toxic trait or toxic traits are habits, behaviors, and ongoing actions that harm others. Habits, behaviors, and ongoing actions that harm others. I went and looked at the Urban Dictionary definition as well, just to see what it is, what they're saying. And the Urban Dictionary's definition is it's part of someone's personality that doesn't seem bad at first, but gets worse and worse until the only way you are able to tolerate it is if you have some sort of fetish for it. Now, I was on board with the definition until they start talking about fetishes, because I feel like you cannot have a fetish for the toxic trait that someone exhibits, but still are prone to experiencing it without understanding what is actually happening. But, to each its own. So toxic trait. So I think it really is. It's like a combination of those two definitions. Now, let's look at the definition of a toxic person. So the definition of a toxic person is anyone whose behavior adds negativity and upset to your life. Anyone whose behavior adds negativity and upset to your life. Now, I know you're probably sitting here looking at this definition and say, well, by that definition, pretty much anybody could be toxic, right? And so I think I would modify that definition just a little bit. I think it's anyone whose repeated behaviors, you know what I mean? Who this is no longer just a one-off thing, but it's a repeated behavior time after time, again and again and again. And those behaviors add negativity and upset to your life. So now that we have the definitions underway, let's just talk about some signs that you are around a toxic person or you are around toxic people. Okay. For my YouTube listeners, I will put these on the screen for you so you can see it. And I'm going to just go quickly over the list and then just highlight a couple of them that I think is interesting to talk about. Okay. So 1, gaslighting and apologizing afterwards. 2, domestic abuse. 3, verbal abuse. 4, constant breakup and makeup, whether that's platonic relationships or non-platonic relationships. Which number am I? 4. 5, always walking on eggshells around someone. 6, always needing attention from you. And 7, placing their insecurities onto you. So I want to highlight a couple of them. Of course, we know the domestic abuse and the verbal abuse, those are toxic. Like we know that, we see that, we can identify that. And just depending upon where you are mentally, you may be able to, avoid that or not. But we already know about those things, right? I want to talk about gaslighting, and then like apologizing afterwards. That is toxic. When you're gaslighting someone, you're making them feel like what they're experiencing is not correct, or that they are, forgive me for saying that they are crazy for feeling the way that they're feeling, or they are, they are not experiencing reality how they are seeing it right in front of their face. And so that's like gaslighting. That's a form of gaslighting. And also when it comes to apologizing, it's like you do these things, but then you apologize afterwards and you continue to cycle over and over. That's a sign that you're around toxic people. Another thing, the constant makeup and breakup. I don't know if this society believes like that's how we supposed to be living our lives when it comes to relationships, but I just want to be the one to voice an unpopular opinion, and it's not how we're supposed to be going around relationships, constant makeup and breakup. Like, I just wanted to ask people, what gives you the authority to lead people on a string or play this cat and mouse game with someone's heart, feeling, and emotions, and think that's okay? I just don't understand that, and I never understand that. I feel like when you are constantly making up and breaking up, you're still holding a tie to that person, because you know in your head that y'all are not done. Like, y'all just taking a break or whatever it is. Like, no, that's insane. It's either you stick with it, you work your stuff out, you work out the problem, and then you move forward, or you say, you know what, you and we together are not good for each other. So we need to cut this off and keep it moving. And like I said, it's platonic relationships or non-platonic. Like, it goes the same for any one of those relationships. Whether we're going to work this out, move forward, and become better, or we feel like we are going to be better apart, and that's what we need to do. Stop the makeup and breakup. That's a sign that you are around toxic people. Another one is the walking on eggshells. I want you to think about someone in your life that you always have to tiptoe around. Like, oh, I don't really want to say that. They're going to get upset. I don't really want to say that. Then it's going to cause a whole big thing. Like, no, that's toxic. That's toxic. You should be able to voice your opinion respectfully. You should be able to have respectable conversations. You should be able to engage in adult conversations with people without the fear that they are going to jump down your throat, or they're not going to be able to reciprocate that level of communication. It's wild. It's wild. And then placing their insecurities on you. I mean, yeah, toxic. Someone is always feeling bad about themselves. So they in turn are trying to make you feel bad about yourself by accusing you of things that you're not even doing because they don't feel right within themselves. Toxic. And you either need to address it and see if this person is going to change, or you need to go ahead and cut your losses and exit. Period. Now we're going to talk about some toxic traits to avoid. And I'm sorry if you could hear the people mowing the lawn in the background. I apologize. You know, we just not on the same schedule. They always want to mow when I'm recording. It's just a thing. Okay. So I'm going to put the list on the screen for you guys to take a look at. And I'm just going to go through them quickly for my audio listeners. And then I'm going to talk about a couple of them. So some toxic traits to avoid: love bombing, incessant need for communication, angry outbursts, physically abusive, verbally abusive, never wanting you to succeed, aka a hater, liars and lying, never taking accountability, selfishness and self-centeredness, narcissism, immature at your big age, and obsession. And if you haven't been able to tell, like, these are some of the traits that like I came up with just based on just people that I know of. Not people that I know of specifically, but I'm just saying like general, like how, you know, their personalities and whatever. And yeah, so I just came up with some. So yeah, toxic traits: love bombing. Toxic trait, like we should know, like, there is a healthy level of compliments, there's a healthy level of gifts, there's a healthy level of showing love, and then there's a part that's excessive. If it's making you feel unreasonably uncomfortable, to the point where a reasonable person would say, this is uncomfortable, it's weird, it's getting creepy, that's love bombing. That's a trait that you should avoid. And we just avoid it at all costs, because you might think, oh, I'm getting all these things and it's nice or whatever, but really it's not going to be good for you in the end. One of the other ones that I want to highlight are liars, like lying, being a liar. Being a liar. People do not understand that lying is, I mean, everybody does it, obviously. But are you a habitual liar? Like, do you just lie just to lie? I mean, I know you guys can think of somebody who just lies just to lie. Just to lie. Like, they say, oh, what you do today? Oh, I went to the store. Knowing you stay home all day. Like, you just lying for no reason. Things that just don't even make sense. Yeah. Toxic. Avoid. And being immature at your big age. Baby, my mother-in-law said some people don't grow up. They just grow old. And I think that's happening. It's an epidemic going on. Like, you need to understand when someone, no matter how old they are, if they are still in a mindset where they're not growing, they're not willing to grow, they're not willing to mature and develop, then you have to say, baby, that's a trait in you that I'm not trying to attribute to myself or be around, and I have to exit. Obsession. Like, let's just stop the obsession. We can't be out here obsessing over people, over things. That's toxic, because obsession turns to irrational thoughts and ideas. And once those irrational thoughts and ideas start to germinate and they start to be solidified in your mind, that's where you have a problem, because then you start doing things based off of those solidified irrational thoughts and ideas. And we don't want that. We don't want you to be ending up on somebody's 6 o'clock news. We don't want you to be ending up in situations where you can't reverse the decision that you made. Oh yeah, and never wanting you to succeed. Like, just being a hater. Like, I know we all have haters. That's fine. But to have haters in your direct circle, in your support system, air quotes, support system, that's not good. Those are traits you need to avoid in yourself and in the people that are around you, because it's only going to do, it's not going to do you any service. It's going to be detrimental to you in your progress. And depending on how valuable their opinion is to you in your life, you're more than likely going to take on their statements, their opinions, and make that your own. And you don't want that. In summary, at the end of the day, being toxic is not cute. Okay? Being toxic is not appropriate. Being toxic, or even possessing toxic traits that you know are toxic, and decide that you're not going to do anything about it. You just think like, this is me. And if this is me, this is what it is. And you take me or leave me, baby, I'm going to leave you. Okay. I'm going to leave you right where you at and all your toxicity. And I'm going to be moving on, because we need to understand that you can't thrive in toxicity. If you think about toxicity or toxic, like chemicals, like in its scientific definition, it's deadly. It can kill you, right? It's not healthy for you. And if we look at that with these traits that people may exhibit, or you may exhibit, or the people that you are around, you want to avoid it at all costs. Avoid it at all costs. Protect your peace, protect your heart, protect your mind, and stay away from those toxic people. And if you feel like you exhibit some of these toxic traits, start trying to see what you can do to remove one by one, so you can shed the toxicity, right? that's all I have for y'all today. Hopefully you guys gained something from this conversation that we had. Hopefully that you kind of understand it a little bit more, and how important it is to stay away from toxicity and to rid your life of all of that and all that negativity, so you can let the positivity and the light come in. Thank you guys so much for listening today. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, like, and comment for me. And if you are interested in this topic and you want to keep the dialogue going, go ahead and comment for me what you think is like the most toxic trait, that like your top toxic trait, not yours like personally, but what you think is the most toxic trait out here in these streets. Yes. Thank you guys so much for listening today. I'm going to get out of here. It's your girl, Melissa. And remember to adjust your crown, walk in your purpose, and always remember who you are. Catch you later. Hey, you guys, it's your girl, Melissa, host of Queen Convos, Life Goals for the Queen in You. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please feel free. And matter of fact, go ahead and do your girl a favor and like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please go ahead and rate and review. I love you guys so much for listening, and I will see you later.